What if I told you the music you're hearing right now isn't actually continuous sound, but a clever trick? The seamless audio flowing through your headphones is actually a sophisticated illusion, an approximation made of thousands of disconnected points strung together to mimic a continuous wave. And your brain is filling in the gaps. This might sound strange, but it's the uncomfortable truth at the heart of digital audio. The music stored on your phone, computer, or streaming service isn't a true representation of the original sound waves. Instead, it's a mathematical approximation that captures key points of data and reconstructs something that sounds similar to the original. Think about sound in the physical world for a moment. When a guitar string vibrates, it creates a continuous wave that travels through the air. There are no breaks or gaps in this wave. It's a smooth, uninterrupted physical phenomenon. If you could somehow freeze time and examine this sound wave, you'd see a perfect, unbroken curve moving through space. But digital audio can't work with continuous phenomena. Computers operate on discrete chunks of information, binary digits, or bits. To convert that perfect guitar note into something a computer can store and manipulate, the continuous wave must be broken down into individual measurements taken at specific moments in time. It's a bit like trying to draw a perfect circle using only straight lines. If you use enough short, straight segments, you can create something that looks like a circle from a distance. The more line segments you use, the closer it resembles a true circle. But no matter how many straight lines you use, it would never actually be a perfect circle, just a very close approximation. This metaphor perfectly illustrates what happens when we transform the continuous, organic nature of sound into the discrete mathematical world of digital data. When sound is converted from analog, continuous to digital, discrete, we take thousands of measurements per second, 44,100 times per second for CD quality audio. These measurements capture the amplitude or height of the sound wave at each specific moment, but crucially they miss everything that happens between those measurement points. If we were to put analog and digital waveforms side by side on the screen, the difference would be immediately visible. The analog wave would appear as a smooth, continuous curve, exactly like the physical sound wave it represents. The digital version would look like a series of connected dots or a step pattern, with each dot representing one of those 44,100 measurements taken each second. From a distance, they might look similar, but up close, the digital version reveals its fragmented nature. Have you ever noticed how a song can trigger an intense memory? Just yesterday, I was listening to a digital recording of a piano piece and suddenly felt transported back to my grandmother's living room where she played the same song on her old piano. My brain filled in not just the gaps in the digital audio, but also the scent of her perfume and the afternoon light through her windows, all from disconnected data points. This remarkable ability of our brains to create complete experiences from fragments is what makes digital audio work. What's fascinating is that most people have no idea this compromise is happening. We've traded the complete continuous nature of sound for the convenience of digital storage and transmission. And it's a remarkable trade. The ability to store thousands of songs on a device smaller than a credit card would have seemed like science fiction just a few decades ago. There are actually two major lies that digital audio tells your ears. The first involves how we capture sound in time, breaking continuous motion into those frozen snapshots. The second concerns how we measure the exact value at each snapshot. Both involve approximation and rounding, and both mean that digital audio is never a perfect reproduction of the original sound wave, but rather a sophisticated estimation. When you hear a piano note in a digital recording, you're not hearing the complete piano note as it existed in reality. You're hearing a series of measurements that, when played back quickly enough, sound convincingly like that piano. Note, the original wave contained infinite points of data, every possible position along its path. The digital version contains only the specific points we measured, with everything else discarded forever. This might sound alarming, but the engineers who developed digital audio were incredibly clever. They understood human hearing and recognized what aspects of sound we can and cannot perceive. The sampling rate of 44,100 times per second wasn't chosen randomly. It was specifically selected to capture frequencies up to about 20,000 hertz, which represents the upper limit of human hearing. To truly understand why this matters and what we might be missing, we need to look at how sound was captured before everything went digital. In the analog world, sound recording was a physical process rather than a mathematical one. When you record the vinyl or magnetic tape, you weren't converting sound into numbers. You were etching its actual pattern into a physical medium. This created a direct, unbroken connection between the original sound wave and the recorded version, a connection that's severed in the digital realm. What's remarkable is how successful digital audio has been despite these compromises. The vast majority of people listen exclusively to digital music and never feel like they're missing anything. But as we'll see when we examine analog recording methods, there might be subtle qualities that get lost in translation. Qualities that explain why some audiophiles insist that analog formats like vinyl records sound more alive than their digital counterparts.